Jefferson here again with another first listen review. Was not planning on doing this one because I thought I'd done enough babbling this week, but I got the long-awaited Yardbirds, the ultimate live at the BBC, and I thought, Babble Babble Central. No, that's not what it stands for, but that's what I'm going to do. I know, horrible dad joke, but anyway, this has like been pushed back so much. I don't know. I can't even remember when the original release date was supposed to be. I think I remember hearing about this back in like March or April, somewhere around there. I actually could not tell you. I've lost track because it's been pushed back several times. I finally got it. I actually kind of lost hope in this thing. I actually just decided, you know, maybe I won't even get it, whatever. I don't really care that much, but just a little bit of history on me and the Yardbirds, just so I can, you know, because that's kind of what I do. I talk about why I like these bands. And way back when I was first getting into music, my best friend growing up, he had a brother who was like 10 years older than us, so we used to like sneak and get his records and record them, and then, you know, sneak them back without him knowing. But I remember one of the first ones that my friend bought with his own money. It was one of the Yardbirds. I don't remember which one, but I remember it was Yardbirds. Then I'm like, who that? I didn't even know who that was. I was like, well, all right. He played it, you know, and I was like, it was a LP, and I was like, okay. It didn't really do anything for me. But then he loved it, and he proceeded to play that over and over and over and over again. Those songs got burnt in my head to the point where I loved them. It's weird how that's happens sometimes. So, you know, obviously everybody knows the history of the Yardbirds. If you're listening to this, you know that you had Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page were all like the main, you know, the guitar players that all came from this band. This Ultimate Live at the BBC, it's got a whole bunch of stuff that's been released. It says there's 30 unreleased tracks in here. I didn't actually dive in to see if that's actually true or not because I have so much Yardbird stuff at this point, and I don't know what's bootleg and what is original. I have so much stuff. I didn't really take the time to dive into that. I'll just take them for the word that there's 30 tracks on here that are have never been released before. But I like the order. I like the way they have this arranged. It's got a cool little booklet in here. It's like 60 some pages long. Kind of explains a little bit of everything, and it looks like it's just all in order. You know, all the BBC recordings from like 65 on up through 68. It's the first 3 discs are all Jeff Beck era stuff, and then the last one is when Jimmy Page came and joined in. And you know, I just popped it in. Thought I'd just give it a listen, see if I, you know, what I thought of it. Next thing I know, I've listened over the past 2 days here. I've listened to the entire thing through, and I'm already on my second listen through of it. It kind of like sucked me in. I don't know. I just really enjoyed listening to this. So there's a whole lot of repeats on here because this goes on their appearances and whatever they did in the original broadcast. So, you know, if they had a single out or whatever and they made multiple appearances, you're going to hear the same song like several times. Like it opens with "I'm Not Talking," it's, you know, track number 1, and you know, that's on here a couple times. And then, you know, "My Girl Sloopy's" on here several times, of course, "For Your Love." So you get all these different versions of the same song. So, you know, it's kind of cool. Most of the recordings are pretty good. Occasionally, you know, the original tapes where they got this from may have not been, you know, the greatest. And it seems like the stuff that's not been released is the stuff that has the lowest recording quality to it, and it just kind of bounces all over the place in here. But you know, so it's none of it's like horrible, unlistenable, like, yeah, you know, whatever. Most of it's pretty good. You know, it's not like the quality of some of the other stuff that's been released under the BBC, like Led Zeppelin and The Who come to mind. Some of their recordings seemed like they were done really well. Most of this, like I said, is okay, but some of it's a little bit rough. I like the interview stuff in here. That was kind of interesting. That I was just kind of, you know, I actually like that stuff when they interview these guys. And it's funny, there's one in here, I think it was on CD3, CD3 with Paul Samuel Smith. And that one's actually fairly lengthy. Mostly just like 2 or 3 minutes. That one was like a little bit longer, 7, 8 minutes, something like that. But he goes into talking about, you know, people's interest in music and how he, you know, actually produced a lot of their stuff. And he makes a mention that it's all about the sound. Nobody cares about what the words are. He's like, I don't know if that's the same anymore. Maybe that was true back then. Maybe that's just his opinion. I don't know. Maybe it's reverted back to people don't care about lyrics too much, but I personally love lyrics. I'm a lyric guy, so that kind of caught my ear. And then the interview asked him, so who do you think's the leading person in sound, sound capturing new sounds and creating new sounds? And he said Pete Townsend. And I'm like, yeah, that's my man. Because if anybody that's listening to anything I've talked about before, you know that The Who was like my one of my favorite. Actually, it's my favorite band, not one of my favorites. It is my favorite. But so I was like, cool. Shout out to Pete there. But I thought that was pretty cool. And he also mentioned, how people don't care if the live recordings are reproduced exactly. What they hear on record. They own the record. They come to see the band play. So I was thinking, I know that's how I view things. I mean, I like to go see a band play. I like it when they change things up a little bit. And I'm like that, but I don't know. I think maybe with all the talk, if there's recent talk nowadays of, these backing tracks and people trying to reproduce the album exactly as it sounds live, and all the extent that people go to do that. And I'm like, maybe that's changed over the years. I don't know, just something to think about. Maybe just a little bit of a thought soup there, or whatever you want to call it. But this was kind of cool. But overall, I thought it was interesting. I noticed some of the intros to the songs also, it seems like they didn't match to what the song was. I mean, it sounded like they're talking about the song, but then there's a couple instances where they'd introduce the song and then you'd hear it switch tracks, and then they'd introduce it again. It was really strange. I wish I could remember exactly which ones those were, but it did it several times. But another quick little thing that I wanted to mention was CD4, when Jimmy Page joined the band, and he kind of took over the Yardbirds. I mean, he ended up owning the name, called it the New Yardbirds after a while, and that turned into Led Zeppelin, as a lot of people know. But here it was still the Yardbirds. He had just started playing with them, but you can hear, especially by the end, the last song on here is Dazed and Confused. And it was just fun listening to that song, because everybody knows the Zeppelin version, and you're waiting for all that excitement and the high guitar, the solo stuff going on. None of that's really on this one. And the fills are all different, and just the bass playing obviously is not going to be the same, or the drumming for that matter. But it's just kind of cool hearing what these guys did with that song. It was just fun. So anyway, that's just my quick little rundown of it. It's 4 CDs, so I mean, it's a lot of music on here, and the first 3 are jam-packed full. The last one's only a little over 40 minutes long, so not quite as long as the first 3, but man, wow, it was just fun listening to this back. Like I said, overall recording of it's pretty good. A couple little recording-wise here and there, but in the end, it was still worth it. Actually, the funny part is, I really like the band Box of Frogs. That was also one that my friend bought, way back when that first came out. And the very first one, not the second one. The first one is what I'm talking. The second one's kind of I don't know what that was, but the first one, Box of Frogs. If you haven't checked that out, and you like the style of music, it's kind of like the '80s production style of this kind of music. That's kind of how I describe it. It was a fun album too. I should probably do a Overlooked Gems or something like that, because I really like that album, Box of Frogs. That's one that I never hear people talk about, but it's basically the Yardbirds minus all the super famous guitar heroes. So anyway, that's just a quick little note on that one. But as always, feel free to leave any comment what you thought about the Yardbirds, or if you've gotten this, what you think about it. It's all just our opinions. It's just meant for us to talk about music, and when we're talking about it, the music's still alive, and that's why I always say like, share, and subscribe to keep the music alive, because this is cool stuff, and I really love listening into it. So anyway, talk to you guys later. See ya.